you want to state your name for the record?
Ted Bergstrand. I work at Baxendale Guitar, doing acoustic rebuilds. But right now we're looking at a 3D printer.
How long have you been at Baxendale?
Let's see. I started there about 2 years ago.
Okay. And do you enjoy that job?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a lot of volume of guitars, so I get to do a lot of jobs that I wouldn't, normally get to see over and over again. Like I'm doing like two neck sets, you know, hopefully a week, that sort of thing, refrets,
Uh-huh.
rebracing, all that stuff. So it's a high volume of jobs that don't normally come through the pipeline that often, which
Cool.
is, good for me.
So, and you've been 3D printing for how long?
I got it in December, so I guess about six
Uh-huh.
months,
Can we
somewhere in that neighborhood.
I see that stepper motor up there. Is it stepper or is it
Yeah, so it's got a stepper motor to control each the X, Y, and Z, and then also the extruder. So how much of the plastic
uh-huh.
filament here
Uh-huh.
is going to get pushed out at
Cool.
any given time? Um,
And let's see here. Can you pull it up and give me kind of a bird's eye view of the machine?
yeah, let me
Flip the camera.
flip the camera here. There we go. So
Awesome.
this is the printer right there. It's got this gantry. Oh, sorry, I'm not used to doing camera work. This gantry will go up and down. Move it here.
Well, what's its margin of error, like its level of accuracy?
This one's really not the best in the world. It's one of the cheaper 3D printers that you can get,
Uh-huh.
um, but it's acceptable.
Uh-huh.
If you really dial in your settings, you can get it pretty good.
Uh-huh.
But the cheaper they are, the more flaws they kind of come with.
Okay.
And this one comes in pieces, so you build it yourself. So it's also got all the flaws that I put
And
in it.
what company is this from?
This is the Creality Ender 3 Pro.
Uh-huh.
There's Creality.
Okay. Is that table heated?
Yeah, it has a heated bed and adjustment wheels, so you can jog it up and down to adjust how flat and level the bed
Uh-huh.
is
Oh,
relative to uh, relative
almost
to
like a rough kind of zeroing.
yeah. Could be better, honestly. The plates on the Ender 3 Pro don't come super flat.
Mhm.
So they sell glass ones that you can stack on top,
Mhm.
which is what I've got here. Um,
So
which is new.
maybe the thing to do is can you pull out one of the things that you printed to go on the pony clamp?
Sure. Yeah. So it all started with one of these, which is just a normal um, clamp foot.
Yeah.
And then I kind of wondered if I could stack a block on it, basically, so I wouldn't have to keep taping wood blocks to keep things from crushing through. And I put this kind of squishy pad. I don't know if this is coming through very
Oh,
well,
that's really awesome. Can you show it?
but
Do you
it's
have a
got.
clamp handy you could throw that on?
I don't at home.
Yeah, we get the idea.
Squish it with a
So
pad.
that's
You can
probably the
see.
consistency of like a hard rubber sanding block, kind of like
Yeah, something like that.
not like completely rigid, but at the same time about the flexibility of a like a some rubber, hard
Yeah,
rubber.
you could print it as stiff as you wanted to, and depending on the plastics, you can have different properties there. So some plastics are a harder, more brittle type plastic, and then this is what's called TPU, which is what a lot of the flexible cell phone cases are made
Hmm.
out of, and so it has some give and some elasticity to it. And then the more densely you print the plastic on the inside, the more stiff it's going to be. So if there's more air inside, there's going to be more give to it. Um,
Cool.
I may have something I can chop open somewhere and show the. Well, actually, I'll just cut this one open. You can see what the inside looks like. So one of the really cool things about 3D printing is it's relatively inexpensive. So like a whole spool of plastic is going to be between 20 and 30
Oh wow,
bucks, and I think it's like a kilo.
that's really great because like in the old days, like you I mean, you might have been able to mill something like that out. Probably not though. You know.
See, I don't know
Yeah.
if this is going to come
Yeah.
through. You can kind of maybe see that pattern on the inside there. It's kind of like those fancy backpack
Yeah.
straps. I don't know if, um, but it has some give there, and you can control those properties inside the software for the 3D
Like
printer.
you could make like almost like a honeycomb hollow structure in there if you wanted more give in there, right?
Yeah, you can actually choose different. It's called infill, and different patterns will have different properties there. So you can have some that are good, in a top down sort of compression. Some that can take more kind of shear
Hmm.
or more of a rotational type
Cool.
bending force.
Hey,
Um,
can you flip around and throw it on your computer and maybe bring up the CAD whatever CAD software you're using and kind of like a little
yeah,
idea of how you might have gotten to that because you're like is that pony clamp thing? Did you design that from scratch or is that already in
I robbed the foot from a website called Thingiverse,
Thingiverse?
which is kind of the repository. Um, for for all the 3D printed kind of goods. There are a whole bunch of other websites as well. I
So
guess
that
we don't need to look at
so
my
those
camera.
are other pony clamp like that would be the pony clamp for the wiggle foot on the top of the pony clamp. Was that what I was seeing on the website there?
Uh, you could no, those are actually little feet that I was mocking
Oh,
up
okay.
for the little StewMac
Oh, okay,
scissor clamp.
yeah.
Um, I don't have one, so I don't know if they'll exactly fit, but
Well,
there's a thought.
maybe I'll get.
Um,
I think I could probably get you one. It would be good to see some. So I got to get my Fusion back up and running. So you got the you've got the ability. So okay. So what CAD program is that?
yeah, so this is called Tinkercad. It's a website, and it's run by the guys who make Fusion 360. I think it's Autodesk. I can't
Uh huh.
remember, but it's kind of their extreme hobbyist platform. You can do it on the internet.
I didn't even
Um,
know they had that.
yeah, it's really great. My computer's a piece of crap, so all of the heavy load is done on their servers. So my computer doesn't need to
Uh
do
huh.
so much, which helps. It kind of chokes on Fusion.
And
Uh,
so what you've done there, it looks like you've taken the thing from Thingiverse and then just made some rough 3D geometry and then just stuck the two things together. Pretty.
Yeah, so this red right here, sorry, it's picking up all the banding from my
That's fine.
computer, but this red block is just a block I made, and I contoured the corners in so that it wouldn't have sharp edges, and then I imported the 3D model of a clamp foot, this gray thing
Uh huh.
from Thingiverse, and I just dropped it down so that they were sitting inside of each
Uh
other,
huh.
and then when it prints, they're one solid piece.
Cool.
So a lot of, at least what I do with 3D printing, because I'm not a really skilled modeler, is just hacking stuff
Hmm.
together, and maybe like taking a bit from this one piece and throwing it with another shape or something like that to
Dude,
make something different.
that's so usable though. I mean, I'm an old man and I think I could figure out how to make a widget
Oh
from the
yeah,
3D printer and I think I'd just be
it's so
delighted doing
great.
it. Um,
It's got these basic shapes and stuff, and you can do all kinds of neat things if you wanted to, write
So
stuff.
what's
There's
the CAM equivalent in 3D printing called? What are you sending that to actually drive the stepper motors?
So the file is called an STL file, and I just pulled up. This is what's called a slicing software. This is what the 3D printer uses, um, and this one is called Cura.
So
Uh,
that's the
this is where you choose all the
so that's
stuff.
the rough size of your bed down there, and it's all dialed
Yeah,
in for
so
your
it
printer.
actually knows what printer I have. The
Okay.
software's got that stuff, coded, hard coded in on the back end. So I can just, it's easy as selecting my printer, and they plop out exactly the footprint of my
Uh huh.
bed. so I can't go over,
So are there
and it'll always
are
fit.
there like a lot of like almost like firmware updates for your printer? Do they like figure out like this printer likes to, likes to fuck up this part, so we're gonna like, you know, add a little bit of code magic to it to make it work a little better, or is is it pretty static?
There aren't a ton of company provided firmware updates. It's a really hackable platform as far as software is
Uh-huh.
concerned. So there are other boards you can install. You can do stuff with a Raspberry Pi, and even set up like all those cool like time lapse videos you see of people's 3D
Uh-huh.
prints, or what's called Octopi, and you can set it up so that you control your printer remotely through the internet and stuff. But I haven't bothered
Can
at
you
this
turn it
point.
back around and show me
Oh
the
yeah,
slice a
absolutely.
little bit?
So here is a model. Sorry, I'm not used to doing this kind of one-handed. Here's a model of a clamp foot attached to a block that's been hollowed out for a Martin popsicle brace there, the number one brace.
Uh-huh.
And so what I'll do is I'm able to go over here to all these settings, which is going to probably look terrible on YouTube, but I can choose like how tall I want each layer of plastic that's being deposited to be. I can decide how wide I want it to be depositing, how many lines around the outside or walls. So there's a kind of a steep learning curve if you want to jump straight into the deep end, but there are also uh, let me see if I can get to it here. There are also generic settings. Yeah, I don't remember how to get back to it. But you can just pick, like, say I want to use PLA. You can just click PLA,
Uh-huh.
and it'll populate a bunch of kind of normal settings for it, and then you can tweak from there.
So when you're starting out, like you can get to something that's not going to be like a failed print, like pretty quickly.
Yeah, the biggest cause of failure, at least for me, has been not having the bed level enough. So you end up kind of, I don't know how to describe it best, but you end up with the platform kind of
Yeah.
tilted or cocked in one direction or the other. And since the gantry is moving parallel to
You're
something,
building kind
if
of
it's low on
a
one side,
melted.
you may not, yeah, or you may not even actually stick to part of the bed
Uh,
because you may be up too high, or you may be, if you can see these grooves right here, when I installed the glass bed, I forgot to reset the the stopper for how high up and down it'll stop, and just kind of burned into it.
wow.
So you can do that too.
I mean, looking at that stuff, like it doesn't look rigid enough to have even that level of uh, zero, but I guess it is, man. It
Yeah, it's the stickiness, like how much it'll stick to the bed. Because if it starts to move off the bed,
it's
then
over.
there's no registration, there's no indexing for the hot end to come around and start depositing more, and you end up with these like spirally, swirly nonsense. I'm looking at my garbage pile over here, um, so you can get things like this, which it just started eating
Uh,
itself and building up inside the
uh,
hot end, and that's
do those have a
unfortunately
name in
relatively
the
common.
3D printing community? Are they called like spiders or something?
I don't know. Probably. A lot of times they look like little pigtails and curly
Mm-hmm.
cues, so maybe something along those lines. Um,
Would it?
but I really do enjoy having the 3D printer. It's really
I
neat.
think I got to get one. Would you say that was 250, something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that. I think I got it on sale for around 200 over the holidays.
If you were to spend like 400, would you really be stepping up, or is 250 to like 1,000? Like,
I'd probably buy this one again and you know shell out a bit of money for some plastic to
yeah.
waste. Honestly, and that's the big kind of complaint that other people have about 3D printers is you do end up with, you know, some plastic
$100 worth of uh,
detritus,
uh,
and things. Even if the print is successful, sometimes the idiot on the other side of the keyboard did it wrong. That's me.
uh,
and it'll come out and it won't fit what you actually needed to, or your settings will be crap or something. Like, this right here, I was trying to print something I could throw a little socket into and have on the inside when you got to get nuts out off the
Yeah.
bridge plate.
I don't know. I don't
And
understand why sockets aren't all knurled. I don't get it. It seems like
I agree.
every socket should be knurled, or at least have like
Yeah,
some kind of diamond grippy thing. Do you
yeah.
do you have anything that, I mean, you aren't close to like starting to print on something? Can we see the thing?
I can. Yeah, I can make it go. I've been having problems with it all morning, so we can probably watch it fail, which will be cool. It'll be a good demonstration of exactly what can happen. Um, I just put this new glass bed on yesterday, and I haven't, totally worked out all of the kinks. So let's print. Do. All right. So take a step back. Um, here's the. Let's see if that's coming through. There's the little LCD screen, and it's telling me that the extruder, or the hot end
mhm.
right here, it's getting warm. You can see this plastic is kind of running through. Um, and then, so once the bed and the extruder get to temperature, which be right up here, there's the bed temp and the extruder temp, um, then it will start moving around for some
So
plastic
is it already kind of
deposition.
like a little bit heated, or are you starting from scratch?
I preheated it because I knew this was probably coming.
What's
Um,
total startup time if you're just starting from a dead start?
it's not it's not too long. 30 seconds or a minute to get up to heat probably. Um, Maybe two if you live somewhere real cold. But I'm in Georgia where that's not a problem. And if you look, you can see all these like different green and red and all these other colors of plastic are pieces that I printed for the printer, actually, which is kind of a cool thing you can do. Do little upgrades that are made entirely from the printer itself. All right, so it's down to drop a test line down the left side. Let's see, find a better angle maybe.
Oh, cool.
And so it's throwing a line of plastic right there, that white. And the bed is moving back and forth. I'm not sure if you can see.
Oh yeah. So what's the that linear actuator on the bottom? That looks like a pretty serious. Uh,
It's a big piece of 2020 steel, and it's belt driven down here.
okay.
So, or not steel, aluminum. Sorry.
Yeah, I see the extruded aluminum down there, but yeah, that looks pretty substantial for a low end model.
Yeah, the Pro. Well, you can see I'm not close enough to my bed right now, and I'm just throwing plastic straight into the air and dragging it around,
Uh huh.
which has been the theme of the morning.
Uh huh. Do you think the bed is flexible or something, or is it responding
The
differently to the?
original one was, and I just haven't set this one up totally right. Um,
Because it did a beautiful job on the edge there.
yeah, it's clamped on with little little butterfly clips, and I think that's probably most of my problem right now is that I just did a bad job.
Uh,
Uh, but a 3D printer is really not something you want to buy if you don't like yelling at your
oh, I
tools,
love it.
because all right, yeah, you'll love a 3D printer
Yeah.
then. Because there's nothing worse than getting through halfway through a print and then it
Yeah.
knocks itself off, or you realize how terrible of a job you did.
Well,
Um,
and it's the good news is it's just expensive enough that I'm not going to throw it across the room too. So,
yeah, yeah, and then you'd have to set it up again anyway.
uh,
Uh, so I figured I'd show you while this is maybe going to do a better job this time. I'll adjust it while it's going. show you a couple different just dumb things you can do with a 3D printer. I looked around the house, and so we've got turnaround. So this is just a little waste of plastic
Oh, cool.
gadget that it actually printed in place, so all one piece, and it's got the spinny gyro thing
Good
going on,
Lord.
but it wasn't separate. It does
Uh-huh.
separate, but when it printed, it was all attached as one
Huh.
piece. So it really demonstrates kind of some of the things you can do with 3D printing that you can't do with, say, like an injection mold or something
Yeah.
like that. You can't have a gap in an injection
Yeah.
mold if you don't have like a ridge in the mold itself. Um, so that's kind of cool. We got let's see, I got a light here. This is what's called a lithophane. I don't know who made up the word, but it's basically a photo printed in relief, and it doesn't really look like anything now. But I'm sorry if this blinds you. If we drop a backlight
Oh
on
yeah,
it,
move it over
I
to
don't know if
the
that's
to your
coming through.
right just a little bit. My screen I've got my dumb head in the way. Yeah, hold it up just a little bit. Oh man, that's cool.
So it's a I don't know if you can see. It's a
I
photo
get
of,
the I
of
get
my
the idea.
fiance and I. It looks really good in person. Maybe.
Like if you see it in the window, is it does it work? Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. So
You did
um,
that with that printer?
yeah, man, I just went to a website and put in a picture, and it did most of the work for me. And I printed this actually last night, mocked one up for you when I saw Grace's logo. So we've actually got. Let's see if we can get the right angle here. I don't know what I'm doing clearly.
Uh
Um,
oh. That's all right, man. Here, I'm gonna take my stupid head off of the thing here.
there we go.
Oh my god,
So when it's
dude,
backlit, you get the different shades of darkness depending on how thick the plastic is there.
dude,
Um,
that is so cool.
yeah, it's really neat. So like this printed last night, no problem. I printed 14-hour print overnight, and then
Uh-huh.
this morning I tried to get things set up to do this, and I'm getting this pile of garbage. So that's kind of the way it
You
goes
know,
with
maybe
with the
3D printing isn't for me because that like the things that really send me over the edge are doing things the same way and getting different results every time. Like that just
yeah.
something it's like the universe is being unfair in a way that just drives me crazy like I'm 5 years old and not getting an ice cream when I ought to.
Well, I am 5 years old. I think that's what appeals to me about the 3D printer so much is I'm just a huge
Yeah.
5 year old. Not really huge, just a full grown 5 year old. Um, let's see, what's another thing we got? Oh, yeah. The only other weird thing with the 3D printer is my light's all different now. Whatever. Um, is you kind of since it's depositing from the top, you need to pick what's most important
Uh-huh.
for
Uh-huh.
detail. So like the clamp foot on this. Try and get some more light again. I don't remember how I had this stuff set up. Something like that. Um, but the clamp foot's important to have the right clearance and not have like plastic nubbins and stuff in there so that it actually fits on the clamp. And I figured that like the relief for a brace was less important. So there's this called support material. Uh, you can
Yep.
kind of see through it. It's not nearly as solid as the rest of this, and so it'll actually print support material in that gap instead of the full thing, so that it can come out a lot easier, and you can sand or chisel it down if you want to make it nice and smooth. But since it's printing top down, it's got to overcome gravity
Yeah.
effectively, and it's got hot plastic, so it really wants to droop, which can be
Yeah.
tough.
So so how even though your software is pretty user friendly, there's still a lot of kind of thinking about the third dimension that you got to do
Yeah,
when you're thinking about how
absolutely.
it's going to print.
There's a lot to consider, and that's kind of why I said the learning curve's fairly steep when you're just trying to dive 100%
Mm,
into it. Because as you get more complicated with your models, you have to start making decisions like
yeah.
that, like what orientation is it best to print in? Because a 3D printed part is kind of like wood. It's basically got a grain pattern to it. So let me flip this around. In
Yeah,
case
yeah.
it's running horizontally there.
So
So if this were a
by that,
rigid plastic, then it would want to split kind of along
yeah.
those lines, or it'd be more inclined to split rather. It wouldn't
Uh,
want to.
is there
Um,
any kind of like after you print? Is there? Oh, that's going to be cool. That's your brace getter.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited about that. So it's
Is there any kind of like
it's like
after printing like heat treating or like any kind of dip or anything like that? Like I could see like
you can use acetone to smooth things out, but anytime you're putting a solvent back into your plastic,
you're weakening
you
it a
don't
little bit.
you don't know what you're doing really. You may
Yeah,
be weakening it. And so it kind of depends on what your part is for.
yeah.
If it's an aesthetic thing, like you're making a
Uh,
statue, then who cares? Do whatever you want to it. But if it's something like in this case, hopefully is going to get
uh,
into a guitar and under a
uh.
brace, I don't want to be,
Did you get that
have
idea
a
from that
compromise.
picture of Dan's welding project onto his banjo pick?
No, I
Oh,
didn't. I actually was just scrolling through Thingiverse and I saw something that looked kind of like that.
uh,
I think it was for prying up car trim
uh,
rivets, and I was like, "Hey, I, that might work inside a guitar." And so I just flattened out an edge of a ring and threw a strip on there, and put some holes in it,
cool.
and yeah. And then I had one of them. I printed one flat and one horizontal because I wasn't sure, which way would be best.
Uh.
And this one ended up, unsurprisingly getting some warps in it.
Hey, thank you so much. I
Awesome.
think we're
Yeah.
gonna we might have to do this as a segment because I think there's I think we got a lot of collaboration ideas that can go into this thing. It'd be fun to see.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool. I think a lot of guitar tools could be 3D
Yeah,
printed, and yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to, pick your brain and
yeah, dude.
try and come up with something new and neat.
Well, we'll do that. Hey, man, I'm gonna go. You have a good day.
Hey,
All
take
right.
care, man. Good talking to you.
Yeah, well, Ted sent me a box of groovy stuff, and I gotta tell you, I was pretty excited to get this stuff. Oh man, Ted. Oh man. First up is the pinch clamps. We got some kerfing clamps here, and let me tell you something. These are not cheap to buy, so this was a really nice gift. Blue and white to make sure you don't mix the sides up there, and you put the rubber band in there, and you can put different strength rubber bands in there to get a different pinch. But man, thank you, Ted. Oh my God, Ted. Now he's sending me the calls that go on the pony clamps, and pretty excited about these. I already got a chance to test it out, and man, is this a boon. Like, I mean, the possibilities are really limitless with widgets and 3D printing here. So, I mean, this is the scissor jack stuff. He sent me this, and he didn't have a scissor jack to work with. Dan Earlywine actually sent him one so that he could get it going a little bit better. And so I'm going to cut to a section where he sent me pictures of the modified version, so you can see what those are like. And these right now, these pictures are the modified ones that he made with the actual scissor jack, and that's how they fit in there. So you get really good even clamping pressure on angled braces.
Oh shit!
He sent me a GoPro. We'll see if we can work that into the videos coming up. He also sent me some of the lock line that he printed, and this stuff, it's not quite as good as the regular lock line, but we'll figure out a way to use the stuff. He also sent me some good non-stick. You can see it in the background, that white stuff, and his thought is that you can take up your glue in the white tube and then push it through with the metal plunger. Plus the metal will also make it rigid, so it conforms to the shape that you put into it. It'd be interesting to see if we can get this stuff to work. I haven't really played around with it that much, but it shows a lot of promise. And being able to have that lock line kind of universal stuff, you can print any kind of widget to go on the end of the lock line. So that's pretty darn groovy too. I think this is gonna wind up getting into practice quite a bit. So these were some of the brace getters. I didn't pull these out, but these are some of the brace getters that he sent me. They kind of put it on your ring finger and throw it inside the guitar and get the glue in the brace.
Oh.
And then this was really pretty special. He took my logo and did, he said it was a 14-hour print, but it's pretty darn cool. I'm pretty excited about that. So there you go, people. 3D printing, guitar repair. Pretty cool.